Hola, buenas tardes. Me llamo Señora López. My name is Mrs. López. I'm going to talk about the Spanish course at Prendergast. So if I go through the course and then at the end I take any questions that you may have. So I'm going to start talking about why to take Spanish for A-level. So the course, it will be good for somebody who is interested, obviously, in the language, in speaking Spanish, and as well for somebody who has appreciation of different cultures. So it will improve the language skill of the student at the same time as developing cultural knowledge. Obviously, you know, Spanish is spoken in 20 countries by around 400 million people. It is a facilitating subject. So that means that universities regard well Spanish. So it doesn't matter what degree a student is going to do, is what they call facilitating, that is highly regarded. In the past, we had students who have continued to do it at university. Many of them, they do it as a joint degree. So this year we have a student who's started law with Spanish. In the past, we had the students who decided to do business studies with Spanish or history. So it's something you can, students can combine at university with something else. So if I talk now a little bit about the department, it is myself and Ms. Conan. We are both experienced teachers. We have been in the school for over 10 years. I think we support well the students through the course. Students have approximate around 5 hours a week of the language is double lesson, so each of them is an hour and 30 minutes, 40 minutes. The classes are small groups, so in our current year 12 and year 13 as well, we have 8 students in each of them. We have a good success criteria over the years. For the past 3 out of 4 years, we achieved all 3, that we have been in the 30% best results in the country for Spanish. We give the students opportunities from enrichment, from theater trips, to going to the cinema, music. We have even taken students to learn some tango and some flamenco in the past. Trips, there is a trip running every 2 years to the south of Spain as well. Obviously, this year is not taking part, but this year, for example, we are setting up some webinars. So year 13, for example, next month, they do a webinar from a Spanish university that is a literature webinar. Talking a little bit about the course, it's divided into 4 main themes. In year 12 we study Hispanic society and culture. So inside Spanish society, we learned about how the values in society have changed. There's a bit of sociology there. We talk about ciberespacio and equality. In culture, we talk about the influence of idols and role models in the Spanish world, the identity of the different regions, as they are very different, and each of them has their own identity, so we learn what it is. And the cultural heritage, so from architecture to music to food, so all that is part of the cultural heritage of the Spanish course, so we learn a little bit about that. And in year 13 is more centered about multiculturalism, so migration, racism, living together, so how this has changed over the last 100 years in the different countries. And we learn as well about politics. So the different regions, different governments of the different countries, so from monarchies, dictatorships, so how it has developed as well in the last century. As well, we learn about the worries of young people today, what interests them, what worries them. Then everything always based in the Spanish world. And at the end of the course, the students have to show in the exam what they have learned about the different things. We study as well a film and a book, so similar to what the students do in English literature for GCSE. So they will have to analyze a film. We study Ocho Apellidos Vascos, that is a romantic comedy. And one of the main things is the cultural difference between the Basque Country and Andalusia, and the stereotypes that we have one of each other. And the book that we study is La Casa de Bernarda Alba, that one of our most famous author, Federico García Lorca. And the theater play is about family and repression and the effects that men have in women on the time of the play. So the exam is at the end of year 13, and it's 3 exams. We have listening, reading, and translation. It's not writing, so it's translation. And that's the most important one, is 50% of the final grade. Then we have the writing, that is the 2 essays, one on the movie, one on the book. And we have the speaking, that is 30%, and is based on questions about one of the themes studied in year 12 and 13. A topic the student chooses to talk about for 10 minutes. It has, again, something related to Hispanic society, Hispanic world. The student can choose anything really they are interested in, since politics, history, culture, society, anything related to that. It's about a bit about expectations. Obviously, we expect the students to work from day one, to be well organized, to be able to meet their lines and work independently. They have between 2 to 4 hours of homework a week. They have weekly tests, apart from the end of unit test. We use Terdoodle, that is the website where we have the textbook live, is on that page. Students can work there on listening and independent skills there. We use Quizlet for learning vocabulary and expressions. We use grammar booklets to practice grammar. And very important that the students know the film and the book inside out. Okay, hablen, speak, very important, in groups, in pairs. And we managed to do quite a lot of lessons, much more than for GCSE, as we have very small groups, so we speak a lot. And obviously it's very important that the students immerse themselves in the language. So they need to read the news about what is happening in the different Spanish-speaking countries. The light is on. Okay, to watch Spanish movies, TV, listen to Spanish music, and try to think in Spanish. The more Spanish, the better. Okay, I'm very sorry if I went very fast. Going to go now. If you have any questions, please, if you can put them in the chat. Let me have a look at the questions. Are the classes diverse in terms of Spanish speakers and non-speakers? Yes, there are. We have obviously much more non-speakers than speakers. We tend to have maybe one student who has a background in Spanish, maximum 2. We don't have that many Spanish speakers. We have mainly English speakers. So I know that it can be a bit nerve-wracking if there is somebody who is fluent in the language. But they are learning as well. The ones we have, they are enriching their language and the vocabulary, because they tend to be using more colloquial language, and we are working in formal language. Do you practice having a Spanish conversation in Spanish? Is another of the questions. Yes, we do. The lessons, they are in Spanish. and we do part of the lesson is always speaking. So we do quite a lot of speaking in pairs, quite a lot of speaking as a class, and as well as speaking one-to-one to the teacher. So we concentrate on the speaking quite a lot, and it's a skill that normally students do well in the speaking. It's the advantage of having small groups of them. So you have any more questions? There's a question, can you drop Spanish after a year? No, unless you take 4 A-levels. Obviously, if you take 3 A-levels, you cannot drop any of them. If you take 4 A-levels and you find that is too much, you would like to concentrate in only 3 of them, yes, you will be able to drop 1 of them if it's too much. So the groups, somebody's asking how big are the classes. As I said, this year currently in both year 12 and year 13, we have 8 students in each. Normally we have between 6 to 10 students. We don't have more than that. Normally it's rare to have more than 8 students. So as I said, it's very good to do speaking, and we get to know each other very well. Okay, I cannot see more questions. So muchas gracias. I hope to see some students face to face in another open evening this year, hopefully, fingers crossed. So muchas gracias. Okay, espero veros pronto. Adiós. Adiós.